Hey folks, lovely to see you all again. Welcome to the ninth episode of the Kindness Files. I'm your host, Georgina, founder of Kind2. And the aim of this podcast is to spread a bit of joy with some fond memories and connecting amazing human beings together through kindness. We talk to some absolutely awesome people that have shaped my life, and a new episode drops every week. And here is our ninth guest. This is Amelia Bampton. And we met about 6 months ago, maybe a little bit longer. I think we were working together in a consultancy that we both work for, and we've kept in touch. And I'm so excited to hear today about what kindness means to you and sharing some of the kind moments that have shaped your life.
Amazing. Thank you for having me.
So exciting. The first question is, what does kindness mean to you?
So kindness means to me. So I love this question, and I love the theme of the podcast, because only when thinking about what story I'd pull out did I realize personally how often we don't think about kindness. So thank you for bringing that back front and center. We all go through our busy lives thinking about many different things, but kindness, I'd say, doesn't probably enter that top priority. So it was beautiful to think about this. So when I think about kindness, I think about kind of selfless tasks. It's when people do something over and above kind of what they need to do, and it's not for their kind of own personal gain in a kind of personal or career perspective. It's purely to help another person out, and that might be the detriment of your own time, your own energy, your own money, whatever that might be. It's you doing something purely to serve and help someone else, which I think is beautiful.
That's so nice. And can you tell me about a time where you remember an act of kindness and why it stuck with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I talk about this story a lot in many different kind of contexts, and some of them from a kind of career development and mentoring point of view. But actually, when thinking about this question, I thought, oh, this is a pure act of kindness. And what the scenario is for me is when I was mid-career. It was only about 8 years ago. So I'd kind of got 12 years career under my belt, was doing well. But I moved out of working from an in-house kind of product team at Vodafone back into consulting, which had quite a steep learning curve because kind of my agile skill set wasn't where the industry demanded it should be at that time. I'd kind of got a bit behind working in-house. So I kind of came back to consultancy. My youngest child, my second child, was 9 months old. So I had a lot of things going on. And I had realized that how I'd been doing my day job previously for like the last 10 years, I had to unlearn all of that quite quickly, all client facing, all pre-COVID. So, 5 days a week, client side. So very, very much in the spotlight. And what the act of kindness is there was a lovely guy, Andy Burrs, and I embarrass him all the time with this story. And I didn't ask him to be my kind of mentor, to support me. I think he could see that I was a bit rabbit in headlights with what was going on for me kind of personally and career-wise, stepping into a different pace of role with a different skill set. And he just quietly kind of, every now and then would coach me, would provide different resources to kind of help me upskill and perform back in that kind of agile consulting method that was kind of different to where I'd been for the last 10 years, and just kind of unlock my potential and my confidence. I had 12 years kind of tech delivery under my belt, but it was just kind of reutilizing maybe some of my key skills is a nice way to say it. It gave me great reading lists, encouraged me to do a lot more personal development. And so that's the scenario that comes up for me, because that's a pure act of kindness. There was no personal gain for him, probably than other having, a more performing person on the team, but there was no motive other than trying to kind of help someone out who kind of obviously physically needed a bit of personal development, kind of support and encouragement. And the reason I use the story a lot is because off the back of that, I'm a massive kind of personal development and reading fan, which all came from that kind of situation and time in my life. And I even kind of introduced my own personal development book club. So it gets credited a lot for like a lot of the impact it has on my kind of this stage of my career. But never did I go badge that with a tag of that was pure kindness. So, but I think it's a really great story and one I'll always remember.
Wow, and it sounds like it's a real pivotal moment in your life as well, and these acts of kindness have then led to other acts of kindness, which sounds
Yeah.
like it's a network of just beautiful moments that stem from, I'm guessing it started with one conversation of like, "Ah."
Yeah, and it's amazing because even down to the fact that I was driving to Liverpool, which was a good hour 15 every day, and I repurposed my commute, so I wasn't just listening to the radio. I'd switch to kind of Audible. He would always try and encourage me to have them on super fast to like really get, I think I set somewhere in between. But, and that whole way of learning now, you'll often find me on a commute with Audible on, listening to books, obviously podcasts as well, but always trying to upskill myself. And it's something I'm now kind of recognized for. Like only last week, one of my friends messaged me and was like, I need some good, professional personal development books. What have you got? And, I'm screenshotting my Audible, sending the links. So it's, something that I wasn't known for, but as a result of that kindness effect, it's kind of been part of my new kind of personal brand or skill set. Yeah.
That's super cool. And what would you say you're most thankful for?
What am I most thankful for? I love this question also. I try to be very grateful, and I know that's a kind of really popular, maybe overused term. I'm grateful, I'm thankful for everything, for my life, for how I can go about my life, and even and the story behind that is, I think there was a time in my career I had to be up early to do a 3.5-hour commute to Newbury, where Vodafone headquarters was.
Yeah.
And it was before kids, so I literally just had to manage myself, which when you've got kids, you're like, God, what was I even worried about? But yeah, I had to be up early, big commute, big meeting, scary meeting, getting budgets, all things that at that time in my life felt, big and scary. And I was reading a book, A Thousand Splendid Suns, at the time, which is beautiful. It's a fiction book. I highly recommend it. But again, that was a pivotal moment because, it's all about the Taliban and women's oppression and, like a really harrowing story of what can really go on in some people's lives, and how women in certain countries and cultures, aren't enabled to be educated. They're not enabled to go to work. And I was like, and I had a little word with myself that evening, when previously, before reading my book, I was a bit grumpy and ungrateful and unthankful. I was like, look at you can get up, you can drive. You can drive to a great job that, you're empowered to have. For me, my education route opened up this career opportunity. And literally, that must have been like 12, 13 years ago. And I always remember that moment and be thankful and grateful for everything I'm able to do, because it's a privilege that isn't available to everyone. So as busy as my life can be, I try and be thankful for it, because, for some people, they would love that opportunity to work and be independent.
Absolutely. And what would you say brings you most joy in life?
Most joy in life it's probably just people. I'm a classic extrovert, so I do get a lot of energy through people. And so joy could be by meeting new people, learning about people, getting to know my own kids as they evolve and change as people. That brings me joy, because I think it's just, we're social beings, and we're all on this crazy life roller coaster together. And I love interacting and hearing how other people navigate it and what they find interesting. So yeah, I'm often quite joyful if I'm kind of surrounded by people that I'm enjoying spending time with and learning from.
Nice. And we've got 4 questions left, so I think we're about halfway through. And
Yep.
if you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do?
This is a great question, and yeah, what one that I find quite hard actually. I suppose for me, I'm of a generation, I don't know, that we've had quite a blueprint. Like I love the next generation coming through. They're a lot more entrepreneurial. There's a lot of people that kind of seen through their own ideas and have the confidence to kind of get up and start their own business. I came through the generation of, you get a job, you get a career, you work hard, you continue. So I suppose I'm a bit more structured in my approach to career. If I couldn't fail, I'd love to experiment with some of the ideas I had more kind of in addition to the 9 to 5 and setting up communities and taking my co-working community a bit further afield. But yeah, I think I'm quite sensible, a bit more contained from my kind of approach to kind of career and business.
Yeah. I get that. And when was the last time you did something for the first time?
Again, great question. I did start this year and I set up a comfort zone busting group with some of my kind of friends and people that I know from kind of Manchester business and tech scene, because I'm really passionate about this. I think it was something I was really bad at in my 20s. I always stayed in my comfort zone, and on reflection, as I hit my 30s, I realized time was running away from me and I was living a very sensible and stable life and not trying new things. So I do try and do new things a lot. The last thing that I did for the first time, I've kind of recently got into kind of cold water dipping, which I know is a bit of a classic, or late open water swimming is something, again, over the last few months that I've been doing, and it combines a lot of the things that I love about pushing my own personal boundaries, but trying to be in nature more as well. Is something in the last few years I've been trying to pull in, and I don't always get the time to do that. So it's a good combination of a few things there. So probably that, and I've dusted off my roller skates a few times. So it's not the first time, but it's something I used to love as a child. That you kind of like trying to bring a bit of joy and silliness back into my kind of boring adult life. So yeah, probably that too. I'm not very bored, and I did fall over last time I did it. So yeah.
I think that's really interesting about like doing things that you're not necessarily very good at, but they do bring you joy. And being able to do those things, you're like, actually, it doesn't matter if I'm not very good, because that's not the purpose. The purpose of this is enjoyment.
Oh, amazing. Like I was classic, dusting my bike off in lockdown, and the joy that you get from being on a bike, and I'm there and I'm not looking at split times or how fast I'm going, and I've definitely not got all the gear, but doing a nice bike ride on a lovely day for me is priceless. So that's the joy, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that. And how have you treated yourself with kindness lately?
I treated myself with kindness. This is something I have to work on a bit, because I can tend to be very busy and I struggle to slow down. I say yes to a lot, which probably the only person that impacts a lot of the time is myself. So I think how I'm kind to myself is learning when to say no. And I don't always get it right at the right time, but I think I'm becoming more aware of maybe when I've pushed the boundaries and it impacts me, it impacts my kind of home life and family life, that I think, right, next time I do actually need to say no, where a version of me a few years ago, default was always yes to everything, work and personal. So I think, I'm kind to myself when I say no, when I have clearer boundaries, but it's work in progress.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also the using it as a learning opportunity, I think, is also another kindness to say, actually, I didn't get it right this time. I will take something away from this and tweak it or do something slightly different next time.
Yeah, exactly. And, sometimes if I know I'm coming in late from a work event, it's not helpful to the family for me to then get up and do my 6:30 a.m. gym session, which I normally like to do, because it's knowing, well, if you want to do one, don't do the other next door to each other. So just learning as we go.
Exactly. And the final question, I know you had a little bit of time to think about this, but if you could write a kind note to a stranger, what would you write? And can you read out the post-it note, please?
Yeah, exactly. I love this. So what came up really quickly for me, a saying that has really got me through probably a lot over the last few years, is you are exactly where you need to be. There.
Yeah, I can
And
see it. Thank you.
and why this is so important to me is we can all have ups and downs in our life in many, many different ways, personal, professional, family, what have you. But whenever I'm having something that maybe previously what is seen as negative, it's knowing it's all part of the journey. And that even on the bad days, you know, the bad chapters, it's like, I need to be here right now to get where I'm going next. And when you kind of build in that mindset and that mind frame to everything that happens in your life, it's such a useful kind of resilience boosting tool. And yeah, I hope people kind of, it helps them as much as it's helped me.
Thank you so much, Amelia, and thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, we'll be talking to another amazing human next week. So join us for number 10. Thank you so much, Amelia. Bye, folks. See you soon. Bye.